Hey there!
I'm Sunny.
I'm Skylar.
And together,
We're Crushcast, aka the Vixens of Crush Publications.
Join us today for another fun time with Crush.
Hey there! Best-selling authors Sunny A. Morgan and Skylar Quinn coming together to discuss the joys of erotica in literature. Today's topic, we are going to discuss dark fiction versus dark romance.
Hi, and our sponsor today is Logan Black. He is the author of the Danny Diamond series. There are two novels, but there's a bunch of novellas that are in it. It's a great series. We both love it.
So good.
Yeah.
Sunny, what kind of new releases do you have going on right now?
I have one coming out this Friday. It'll be My Husband Sold Me. It is kind of a new niche for me. It's my version of cuckold and
your
free
version.
use. Yes, my version of cuckold and free use. So yeah. Well, hopefully everyone will love it.
I'm sure they will.
What do you have coming out?
So last Friday, I had my latest print book out. I'm very excited about it. It's called The Celestial Love, a collection of paranormal triumphs. It is 2 short stories and a novella put together, and I really love these stories. And then this Friday, I have my third free use out called Coming Back for a Good Time. So I'm looking forward to these releases, especially the print book. I love print books. So
yes, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Hey. So I guess we're just gonna pop into it.
Pop into it. The best
Pop
way.
into our topic. Okay. Well, we'll start out by going with the definition of what Google says the definition is of dark romance versus dark fiction. So dark romance is a subgenre of romance that often includes morally gray characters. There's a lot of violence, abuse, trauma. It deals with mafia, stalking, other kind of taboo kind of topics like that. There is the consent, non-consent involved in there too. Dark fiction has themes that are such as racism, mental illness, rape, family violence, religion, suicide, and drug use. So there's the difference between
it's a wide umbrella.
It is a big difference, but I think sometimes we get confused and assume that just because we have sex in our stories that it's automatically, or there's relationships that automatically like falls under a dark romance but that's not the case.
No, it's not at all, because sex is a part of so much of life that it has a place probably in almost all genres.
Yeah, it does. And there's relationships in all different types of genres. But it can be a confusing little thing there when people are writing to where they're supposed to categorize their story.
Well, and I think that confusion with the categorization that sometimes I feel like we still struggle with, because you just never know, because we do put our spin on things, can really cause some hiccups when you're a reader if you don't know what you're expecting when you pick up a book. And I think that's how we got to talking about this, right? Like,
yeah, it is.
That dark fiction versus dark romance and what belongs.
Right. Because we don't want to disappoint readers and confuse readers if they're thinking they're getting right. If they think they're getting a dark romance and there's this happily ever after supposed to be a happily ever after or a happy for now at the end, which is what should be in romance.
Absolutely, that's the romance. Yeah,
right.
Bookends, right? That's the part of it.
So if they're not getting that, they're be confused. Like, what? What happened?
Well, and that's what happened when I read the story that I was reading when this whole conversation started. Was I was not reading anything romantic at all. I was
Right.
like, this is not what I
Yeah.
expected.
Yeah,
So,
and just because people are having sex or because they are in a relationship does not necessarily make it a romance. Because a
yes.
lot of these darker themes that are in these stories, lots of times, um, are not romantic at all and not
Well,
so.
and I think also the amount of sex doesn't always equate to erotica
No.
because the type of sex and the word usage, I think, indicates more the erotic versus the quantity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just two people that just are having sex doesn't, I mean, that's not always going to excite people or it's not.
Right.
I mean, because I mean, it's just them having two bodies doing whatever, and there's no details, there's no sort of an emotion in there, whether it's bad or good, that it's not, to me, it's not erotic or romantic or anything. It's just sex. And so,
We've been reading this stuff for so long and so much that I stopped to think about what is like romance? How detailed are those? What are some of their specifics? Because I haven't read like just straight romance in quite some time. So I went back and I read some of Nora Roberts stuff. And you
mhm.
know what? I was really surprised to see. Now, does she use the exact same words we use? No. But she does talk about orgasms. She does talk about the actions that the men take, that she does talk about the feeling women feel go. And I was really surprised by the level of detail that there was in a generic romance, contemporary romance, compared to like what we read in right now. And so I was really
Yeah,
taken aback a bit by that.
yeah. I mean, in mainstream romance nowadays, I mean, it's pretty detailed. That's why I always get amazed when we get dinged from Amazon or somewhere for our, like some of our stuff, because I'm like, I just read this book that has way more triggers than mine does. So, but
Well,
it's
and
that
triggers was
erotica.
something else that we were talking about too with the two genres, because dark fiction, you don't need the trigger, dark romance, you do,
Yeah. In our
which
opinion.
seems weird. Yeah, in
In
our
our
opinion.
opinion. Because
Yeah.
well, and I think it's because people with romance are expecting a happily something happy to happen, even though it can be billed as dark romance and you know that these things are coming in. You don't necessarily know what the triggers are going to be. So you kind of, it's a touchy, it's a tough subject. It's a
I
tough,
mean,
like, where
I'm
you
not
put
a big
them.
trigger person myself,
Right.
like, but I try to conform when necessary,
Yeah. Yeah.
and but
Yeah. I
yes,
mean, people
it's a
are wanting
lot.
them more and more. I mean, it's not really something we've done in the past, but it feels like something that need to do now. I
Well,
don't
and
know.
I in my head, like I sometimes think the trigger warning itself could be like the type of book that it is. And because you
Yeah.
expect like XYZ, like in a cuckold book, you expect XYZ in a hot wife, in a generic
Yeah.
erotica, and a BDSM. And so in my head, I think, well, you already know what you're getting because you follow the tropes, you follow the niches. But
Right.
it was this dark fiction that really threw me for a loop. I'm like, I really feel like this one should have warned me like what I was diving into.
Yeah.
And so that surprised me. And I think it's good that we talk about it so more people maybe become aware of it, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who didn't realize there was a difference than in
Right.
the fiction versus the romance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is important. Um, just for, I mean, consumer. Just, I mean, for that simply, and to know what you're writing. Because you as an author, if you're putting your stuff in the wrong category, that is not going to help you at all. It is just
You will
going
not
to,
sell what you want to sell.
well, and you'll get reviews where people are like, ugh, I don't know what I read, but it was not erotica or it was not romance or it was not. horror or it was whatever category it was not.
Hmm.
That is not what I read. So it's important to make sure that you're categorizing correctly. I know sometimes on Amazon you get weird categories and you don't understand why. Like I was in one category, um, I was in erotic horror. I'm like, why am I in horror? Like, I don't
What was
understand.
the book?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a shared it was ganging sin. So like, I mean, they're just shared. I
Was
mean,
there
she's
any
just being shared.
paranormal to it?
No, not at all. Not at all. And so it was just I was like, okay, this is weird. Um, why I'm in this category.
See, I worry about
Mhm.
that with the humorous erotica because I think I am personally funny, but I don't think I write humor at all.
Yeah.
And my books keep getting categorized in humorous erotica, and I'm not selecting that category when I upload it. So I don't know why it keeps getting thrown into that. But I very
Yeah.
much worry like people are going to pick up this book and think it's going to be like laughs and joy and fun, and it is not. Not that it's not a joyful book, but it is not laughing at all because I'm
Right.
not humorous.
Yeah,
So
I mean, that is the part that's kind of like you can't control that. And then I think about like what keywords I use. Maybe there is something that like may have possibly because you get thrown in categories by your
right.
keywords. And but yeah,
And then I
I
think
don't know what I
sometimes
did was horror.
readers, well, at least like me, when I'm looking for a category, I trust those categories as a reader. It's like this
Right.
is
Yeah.
what I want to read. And so I do think it's very misleading when Amazon does it on their own.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so it makes it extra more important for us as authors to make sure our blurbs are accurate and what we
Yeah.
do select is accurate.
Right. Right. It
But
does make it really important because I mean, this is where you're going to get like these people who are angry, and I don't blame them. I mean, they thought they were getting, if they're reading my ganging sin, they're thinking they're getting a horror erotica, but it's just this girl who's having sex with four guys. I mean, they're just like, is this the horror? I mean,
that would be horror for me as an author. Like back
I
into
mean,
the same problem I
yeah,
have.
it was a little scary to write, but it was, so yeah, I don't really, they're probably not getting that. I don't know. Maybe I need because since it's in horror, maybe I need to make one of them a vampire. I don't know. Um,
Sometimes I think like at the end of our blurbs, we need to have like this little caveat, like me as Skylar the author expects this to end up in this category. If it is not in this category, you cannot hold it against me that it was miscategorized.
yeah, that would be nice if we could do that. I wonder if we would get dinged for that. If like
I
Amazon would be
don't
like,
know.
"What are you doing?" Um,
I wonder if it would
because
force
I
it
feel
into the
like they ding
category we
us.
want
I don't know.
because they
Maybe.
take our
Or if they would
blurbs
just
and
throw,
I don't
yeah,
know
if they would just throw us into
the dungeon
the because they're
pits
just
of
like,
despair.
screw you. Screw you
Like we
guys.
see what you're trying to do. No, no,
Yeah, you're
no.
trying to blame all the issues on us.
And
No.
it's you
So
authors,
we're
but
just gonna,
no,
yeah, so we're gonna go hide your book. Uh,
which they do on a regular basis.
they do, and you don't ever know why. And that's why it's like you
Yep,
have to do everything you can, like, to make sure you're doing the things correctly, because there are so many things that are held against us. And so,
regularly.
yeah, so we don't want to do anything that's going to confuse readers, um, or
So
Amazon.
let me ask you this: when you're, because you and I both we kind of mix and match our genres. But so if
Yeah.
we're writing something that we intend to be erotic in nature, but it turns
Hmm.
out that it's just regular dark fiction, what do we do? Should we go back and change the story, or should we just adapt our mindset and our marketing schemes? And what do you think is the better route?
I mean, I think it depends on if you're happy with the story. If you're really happy with it, then you're gonna have to, I would just say, adapt your marketing or think about a different pen name. But
Yeah. And see, I
but I
do
don't know
think
if I
that
would
is
go
where a pen
rewrite it.
name change is because if I wanted to write dark fiction, I don't think I would do it under Skylar because I do
Yeah.
think, at least with an erotic nature, you can get away with a little bit, but I don't think you can go that extreme on joining audience bases, you know?
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, I think, well, yeah, because romance is kind of, it's a little different, and so is fiction. Erotica is its own beast. And so
It
if
really
people
is.
are used to you just writing erotica and then you throw in something else, which I have,
So have
and
I.
and it can it can be issues because, but that's a risk that I took knowing.
Right.
And um but I don't think it's the smartest thing to do. I
At
don't
least
think
not
that you should.
often.
Yeah, I just
Or
don't
make
think
sure
that
you
you should.
advertise it correctly. Like,
Yeah,
this is
right. I
different.
mean,
I'm trying something new.
yeah. Um, I mean, I did put in the title. Mine was like romantic suspense, just so that, and I didn't put any keywords that were erotic in general. I mean, there is good sex in it, but it's
Which
not enough
story?
for it to be. My series, Sanctuary Security. I mean, um, there is a lot of, there's more story. There's good sex, but it's not erotica. It just isn't. Um,
Yeah, My Big Bad Wolf, two stories. They're just a good story. The sex is good
yeah.
when it's there, but I think there's only a couple scenes in each book. But
Yeah.
I love the story. I love the characters. I love the building of it. And sometimes I
Yeah.
think, like, I personally, and I think you agree with this, we need that in order
Yeah.
to fuel our drive and desires. We need those little bits for us, you
Yeah, the
know.
little changes that, yeah, because I just needed a change from writing the same old thing, and it did well on Medium because I started it there just to kind of see how it
Did do
did.
well on Substack too.
I did not post it on Substack. I know, I didn't. Because I don't know, I just have more erotic readers over there, so I just didn't try it. It doesn't mean that I should. Maybe I should. Um, but I didn't post it over there. But it did well on Medium, and um, it's doing okay on Amazon. I mean, it's not doing fabulous, but I am selling books that, so, but it's a risk that I knew I was going to take, and it's one that the story I needed to do it for me.
Right. And
So,
sometimes we just have to do that. And that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
Yeah. But like, this print book, The Celestial Love of Paranormal Triumph, it is not erotic at all. I mean, the first two story or well, the second and the third story in it were stories that I wrote years ago, and
yeah,
then the third one in it is one I wrote earlier this year. But it definitely wasn't ironic, erotic, but I mean, I
yeah,
really love it, and I hope that my erotic readers will give it a chance, you know.
right, yeah,
But and I think I love the paranormal, and so I think part of me is always going to want to write those type of flaring type books, just
yeah,
because. And my vampire cuckold is not as exciting as your cuckold, according to the
yeah.
readers. But again, that's
Well,
like my flair. And so you're taking that risk crossing. And back to what I think we've discovered years ago is paranormal readers are more likely to take the chance on you and
yeah,
cross genres. Whereas
right,
other genres, they stick to that and that's all they want to read. And I see that a lot with the work
yeah,
I put out as Skylar is, like even like the hot wife versus the cheating husbands. I know how much is going to sell in each book that I release based on that series, based on that genre. And you can tell they don't cross.
right, yeah,
And it's just I'm not that kind of reader. I read everything. I'm such an eclectic reader. So I guess that's more
yeah.
the paranormal base, maybe. I don't know.
I
But
don't know I mean, I read more, like, I am more open now, but before, like, I mainly, when I was reading romance, I did not read contemporary romance.
really,
It wasn't, no, I read, I can't even speak. I read paranormal and historical. Those are the only and ones that I really liked. Um, for the longest time, I just
So what
couldn't get into
changed?
the content. I don't know. I mean, maybe the stories changed. The stories became hotter. I don't know. Um,
Have
I
you tried
just
reading like contemporary ones from the 90s or early 2000s now to see if
no,
you like those? No?
no. I mean, it's a good test. I'll try, but I haven't. No, I haven't tried. But
Interesting.
yeah, I just never did for the longest time. It just was not something that I wanted to read. Um,
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
started with mystery and historical and contemporary romance.
Yeah.
And then just kind of grew. I got tired of the same type cookie cutter. And I was like, let's go into some vampire and some wolves. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been missing this my whole life.
Yeah. I had it was mainly historical that I read on a regular basis, but I did my first like paranormal was Amanda Ashley,
I've
and
not read her.
her stuff is, I mean, it is very the sex is off page, but it is like the way she writes it, like she pulls this emotion, like you feel like the sex was on the page. Like it is
Wow.
very like she just and I read her not very long ago again, and it was still the same. After reading all of these, I still felt the same way about her. Like she doesn't need to do details like that.
Wow.
Um it's just but it is very like her stories are yeah, they're really good. But she was the first, and that's where I got like addicted to vampire romance. And then I started just like trying find every vampire romance I could find out there. And then moved on to um, other paranormal stuff. But
You know what I think I have determined from what I was reading this last month or so is I think I try to make it too complicated. I really do. I think
I
I need
think
to
sometimes we do. I think
like we're
we
so
both do
set
that
on we
sometimes.
need a complicated storyline that we just make it too much and we can be
Yeah.
simple and easy and there is drama in the simple and easy.
There is. And I think like we do that a lot. I know I did that with Blood Myth. Oh my God, I did that so many times and like it just made it so hard to finish because I made it way too complicated.
Well, I'm
And
even like watching these Netflix series. I'm like, there's this drama is not like this cheesy romance does not have all this complication. It is really just like misunderstandings cause this whole debacle.
right,
And
yeah.
and I'm so involved in these stories. I'm like, this was just way too simple. Like as an author, I
Yeah.
need to kind of check myself and like maybe you would do better or do more or do whatever by not dumbing it down, but just easing back. And
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes when we like try to make like all of these different things in there, like add all of these different descriptions or add all of these different like plot twists or this and that, it gets confusing for
and maybe
us
that's why
and it gets confusing
erotica
for the
does so
reader.
well because
Yeah, because
erotica is
it's just
cookie
straight.
cutter. It's bam, bam, bam. And it's
Yeah.
easy. And we should
Yeah.
really take a page out of our own pages.
Yeah. I mean, and I try to do that a little bit with the Sanctuary series. I try to not like get in my head like I do like I have with other series. So it is, I mean, because they are novellas, so they are shorter each
Right.
one of them.
They're what,
Um
20,000 words?
Yeah, some are a little bit more. There are two that are just 10,000 words, two of them. And those ones I would actually probably consider more erotica. Because they were just like extra
Less
bonus
is more.
stories that, yeah, well, there are extra bonus stories when I was like writing that. I was like, I'll just write this for them. So yeah. But yeah, they're not that big. It's just there's a conflict, there's a solution, and there's sex. It's just um but I mean there is story, like there is backstory for them, for
Yeah.
each character, uh of where they're at. And they're all second chance stories too. So
I feel like that's kind of more realistic in some ways because like the odds of it always working out the first time nowadays seem a little less.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like those stories better myself, because
Yeah.
they're flawed and they kind of earn their way as opposed to just
Yeah.
like waking up and being a hero.
Right. No, I mean all of my guys are idiots. In the beginning. They all fuck up. Like they're like all 6 of them have fucked up somewhere along the line. They've all messed it up. So uh and the girls, I mean,
That's
they've
funny.
messed their female leads have messed up too, but um it is mainly the guys screw it up.
It's always
But
the guys.
but they make up for it in the end. Um they come around. They have to work a little harder, but they come around.
Well, that's good.
So yeah. I mean there is backstories as to why they like screw up. I mean there are real reasons, but
Aren't
still.
there always? Isn't there always some
Yeah.
type of real reason?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think also with the dark fiction and dark romance, we also think that what like Logan's book, I mean, his character is very flawed and is part of that category, right? But when
Yeah.
I was reading it, I would not have pegged it as that originally because in
I
my mind I've
wouldn't
always
either.
thought like dark romance would be more of the paranormal, more of the blood myth or the blood series or all these different things that we've done. I wouldn't have thought of it like that until we started talking and
Yeah.
learning and educating ourselves. And so I find that interesting that the
Yeah.
category, the umbrella, so wide and
But would he
encompassing.
be dark romance or dark fiction? Because um
I mean, I can make an
he's
argument for both.
yeah, I mean or dark erotica.
I mean, well, he's definitely.
Erotic.
Well, I mean, I don't know because we tease that he's not erotic in that sense, but his detail is
He's
phenomenal.
yeah,
I don't know,
his details are great. There's a lot of story to it. Like I don't know, he
so much
would
story.
yeah, I mean it's great story. So he's hard to
He
categorize.
is hard. I could put that book in
But
I could put that book in so many different,
yeah, I mean, it's a fabulous book, and so many people could read it and get something from it and like it in
like
different
straight
categories. If you
mystery
don't,
readers. I think would love it.
yeah,
I mean,
yes,
because it is
yeah,
absolutely hands down my favorite mystery book I've ever read. I told him that when I read it, but
yeah,
it's in the top 5 of my all-time favorites.
yeah.
But I could see dark fiction because of the noir and the whole settings of it, the flawed
And he's
character,
like, yeah, he's definitely a morally gray character.
very
Danny
morally
Diamond
gray.
is very like, he's like charcoal gray. He's,
He's like as gray as it gets.
yeah,
But it's like he's that kind of bad guy that you root for and you like and you want him to get his
right,
lady and succeed. But
yeah.
I don't know. I would have a very hard time marketing that book because I could throw it into several different categories, and he does it really well.
Yeah, he's great at it, at being able to market it and find an audience
Breaks
for it
all the
because it is
rules.
he does, and he does a great job, and people love it. It's a great book. The whole series is really good. Um, I don't think
Yeah, I
I
don't
could
know.
do it.
I don't think I could either. Like, I'm gonna finish this vampire story I'm writing, but I think crossing, I can't cross. I'm not good at that. Not like him. Like
Yeah,
he, I'm good staying in a lane,
yeah,
picking a lane for a story and sticking in it, not
yeah,
crossing.
yeah. But I mean, he also doesn't put out quite as many, and so he has more time for
Correct for
all the
story.
different things. Right. And because he's writing, and I mean, it's not like he's not doing it, he's writing.
Right.
But we're putting them out weekly, and so it's a complete like we are different. It's different.
We are different. It is different.
It's a different market too.
And this is how many pages is this book? This book is 310 pages. I
Mhm.
have not put out a 310-page book ever under any name. I mean, I think he says like a 90,000 word book. So I think that kicks him out of the erotica genre because those are generally under
Yeah.
40.
Right. Yeah, they are.
Um, but I mean,
Romance, but there's not a romance because there's not a happily ever after.
there isn't.
So
Well, I mean,
it's
he's
not.
happy. Diamond's happy, but
Yeah,
yeah, but it's definitely not a
there's not a
romance.
joint. It's not a yeah,
So I
it's not a
guess it'd have to be
romance.
dark fiction since there's no romance happy ending for dark romance.
Yeah. But like he breaks the rules where his sex is erotic.
Yes.
And lots of times in dark fiction it's not, but his is.
And it's because of the word choices he uses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the whole chapter devoted to the ladies are in 3,000 words of ass.
Mhm. Yeah.
A great
That's
chapter.
those details. It's those
So much
details
details.
that
Yeah.
make him different. So, in the best
So
way.
so I guess
Yeah.
the rule is if you're going to be different, be the best at it.
Right, exactly. If you're going to break the rules, then break them big and break them great. And he does.
Right.
He does all of that. So, yeah.
But I definitely did not picture that in dark fiction at all when I read it. At
And it
all.
may and I mean and it may not be,
Or even
but
dark romance. I would never have thought of that until we had this conversation the other day.
yeah. Yeah. I mean it is and it is. It's like that border, like you don't know where to put it. I wonder what he
Good thing we don't
categorizes it
work at
as.
libraries.
God. Um, I wonder how he categorizes it.
I think he does it as erotica. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Probably. And noir.
Probably. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely transgressive. Um,
yeah.
it's great. Oh, oh yeah.
But this was a very educational topic for me, and it definitely opened my eyes
Yeah.
to what I
It's a
was
different.
overlooking.
Yeah. And it's a hard topic because I don't feel like there's a definite answer either way. Except for the fact that if you are going to break the rules, then do it like Logan does it.
Go big or go
and
home.
and do it great. um, you've got to be fantastic and bold at it if you're going to break those rules.
Yes.
Or you're just going
Yeah.
to have thick skin.
Yeah, he got a
Yes.
review the other day about the book about there was a lot of sex. There's a normal gumshoe story with lots of sex.
But
Like,
that's
yep,
what he always describes it as, he's
yep.
that's his tagline. Think Maltese Falcon with all the good bits. It's a lot more of those. So, I mean, that's what he does, and he does it great.
So, like when I think about like what we do, right, is there something that we could do different then that would maybe elevate the things that we do from generic genres and niches to something a little bigger? Or is it even worth doing that because we have our rhythms and our methodologies? Like it's not broke, don't fix it, but could it be better?
Um, I think if there's a story that you really want to tell, um, then I think we should do it. Like we should do the bigger story, put the work in, and
I
deal with
think
the risk.
our girls are going to be a little bigger story.
Yeah,
Has potential to be.
they are definitely. And
So, how would we categorize that one besides
well, because it wouldn't be
mythology?
romance. It's not
It is
romance.
not romance. It's
And
not. I mean, it's not going to be erotic. I mean, our sex scenes are good, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fiction. Um,
fiction. I
paranormal
mean, there's
fiction.
there's death. There's
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 some
enslavement. um, middle
there is
mythology,
yeah.
Egyptian gods.
I
I
don't
mean,
know because it's not like the um young adult like mythology um
not how
that
we
is out
intended
there.
it. It's not where it's ending up. So I don't know how we're gonna do that
So
one.
it wouldn't be late. I don't know. That's a hard one.
Good thing we have time to think about it because we gotta finish writing it. But
Yeah. I mean, there are some definite dark elements
there are
to it
though. I
too.
mean, for sure. I mean, just when you think about like what we have the characters going through. And
Yeah, and I mean even yeah, even at the beginning, the imprisonment is part of it and the abuse that I mean she's gonna have to go through. So
I mean, even if it's not written on page, I mean,
yeah, it's there.
permanent internment is such a psychological torture. So by
Yeah.
your father, no less. And
Yep.
so I don't know. We got to think about that one.
Yeah. To basically be sold for peace. So.
Yeah. I don't know. And I mean, revenge plot in there. I mean, all of it, plus all of the magical paranormal aspects. I don't know. We got a lot to work with.
We do. So we'll be breaking the rules.
So we're going to go big.
Yeah, we're gonna go big. Maybe we need to have Logan teach us how to market.
Oh yeah, maybe. It's
But
not a horrible idea.
yeah, so
But yeah. No,
we'll
so
see
this
where
is a
that goes.
good thing to learn about, to talk about, to discuss, because it definitely is helpful as a
It is.
reader and as a writer.
Yeah. And I mean, and as always, these are just our opinions of us talking. So
Yes.
nobody take us like literal. Come at us. That is our content warning at the end of this. That's
We're just two friends talking.
we're just talking. So do what you think is best. These are just our opinions.
But, you know, if you get bad reviews and you ignored us,
right.
that's on you.
It's on you. Yeah. So, but that's it.
Well,
It was fun.
It was fun. It was a good topic.
Yeah, it was.
So,
all right.
Well, everybody, don't forget to subscribe and follow to us online. And you can find all of our social media under our Crush Pub profiles. And you can find us on our website at crushpublications.com if you want to purchase any of our books.
And today's episode was brought to you by Logan Black. If you did not notice, since we talked about him a lot, you can find his books on Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. So go check him out.
All right. And if you order his signed copies, he'll write you a nice long inscription.
And if you don't, you get my copy that has nothing.
Thank you, Amazon.
Yes. All right.
All right.
So, all right. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on Crushcast. Be sure to follow us so you can catch our next episode in 2 weeks. Thanks to our sponsor this week and to all of you for listening. Peace, love, and crush on.